first 3 touchdowns for the Panthers in this contest as Davenport went into the fourth quarter, trailing 28-27 in this one. And then all of a sudden, a big defensive stop on fourth down in that fourth quarter. And then it was Khalif Jenkins with a 2-yard touchdown run that put the Panthers ahead 33-28. And then Brendan Sherrod with 11:05 left in that fourth quarter, a 20-yard touchdown pass from Jason Whitaker. That made it 40-28. That lead wasn't completely safe, however, as the Warriors battled back, and Josh Kulka, the quarterback for the Warriors, a 2-yard touchdown run with 9:03 to go in the fourth quarter. That cut the deficit to 40-35. And then Wayne State took the lead. Carmi Mackey with a 1-yard touchdown run with 4:55 to go in the contest, and the Warriors had that 43-40 advantage. But then they got a big defensive stop. Did the Panthers, got a punt from the Warriors and took over in plus territory, and they marched 6 plays, 43 yards, took just 37 seconds, and with 9 seconds to go, it was Jason Whitaker to Zelly Henderson from 13 yards out. Zelly will also be joining us here this evening for the game-winning score, and then the PAT by Brandon Gilo made it 47-43 as the Panthers pull it out and improve, like I said, to 6-0 and 3-0 in league play. I'm joined now by Brendan Boman. Brendan here, I was on the defensive line for the Panthers, a graduate student from Grand Rapids Catholic Central High School. I know, Brendan, for you, I mean, you come from Central Michigan. You had started your career there as a Chippewa, but you've been with our program since 2018. How was the recruiting process for you at CMU and then transitioning here to Davenport?
It was no different, really. Sparky reached out to me pretty quickly. I actually met him at the gym, and that's how he got me to come here. He recruited me as a tight end, and then as soon as Coach Mello came in, I transitioned right back to defensive line. So
fantastic. You know, coming from a quality high school program like CC, they just won 43 straight games. Recently, it took one down to South Christian here recently. But what does playing in a program like that prepare you for collegiate ball?
I'd say Coach Colster. He's a great coach. He was the offensive coordinator at Grand Valley for years, and then he came to Catholic. Came to Catholic twice, actually, and then my senior year was my only year with him. So just getting that college coaching feel, you know, it kind of felt like college coaching, and was a good for the transition from high school to college for sure.
So at what point in your high school career did you say to yourself, I could really play here at the next level in college?
I'd say at the middle of my junior year, probably.
Okay. What other schools did you have interest in at the time other than CMU to continue your playing career?
I can't remember. It was
take a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. It was crazy. Recruiting was crazy because I was a three-sport athlete in high school, so I would focus on my sport at the time, and so I played hockey and baseball as well.
Okay.
So it made it a little bit difficult to go on recruiting visits and stuff like that in the winter and the spring. So
sure,
it was a different recruiting process for me, but it was fun.
You're also a 3-year member of the GLIAC All-Academic Team. You know, what has that meant to you to not only excel on the field but in the classroom?
I mean, it's an awesome honor. We've had a bunch of guys get that honor here. So being part of those guys and, you know, the guys listed every year, it's pretty awesome.
You know, I think at a point you had walked on senior day last year, if I'm not mistaken. So what was it like coming back? I know you thought probably that you were done with your playing career, but what was some of the determining factors to come back and play in 2022?
There was a few different things. I'd say it was a combination of continuing my education, getting my MBA,
okay,
as well. My girlfriend convinced me a little bit as well. She thought I missed football, and it was changing my personality a little bit being away from football. So I always tell Sparky that he can thank her for getting me back.
That's perfect. Taking a look at some of the stuff that you've done in your career, 89 tackles. You just cracked the top 10 with your performance last week. 19 tackles for loss. That's 5th in program history. 14.5 sacks. You're tied for 1st in your career here at Davenport. So hopefully that's a record that you can hold on your own here as we take on Lincoln this Saturday at 12 o'clock. But you're coming off a career-high 9 tackles. You had 2 tackles for loss and 2 forced fumbles against Wayne State. That was a barn burner. You know, talk about your experience in that contest and in your performance in particular that led you guys to a win.
You know, I always feel like I play well against good offensive lines. I always feel like I play up to the competition personally. But the defensive line as a whole this year is just it opens up so much stuff because we're so deep. We have 12 guys that we rotate, and it makes it easy on me. When I have guys next to me that are that good.
Sure.
So
I consider you a high motor guy. I know there's like adjectives that people describe you as, but one play that really epitomized what I see when I see you play is that play in the fourth quarter. Kendall Williams, a really speedy running back from Wayne, a 62-yard run. You book it all the way down the field and tackle him inside the 10. I'm not sure any other defensive end could possibly do that in the GLIAC. So what's that experience like from you, and do you need a little oxygen after that play? Because you really ran a long way to get to him, but
yeah,
it was a great play.
Yeah, I came off the field for a couple plays, but, a lot of guys had fun the next day, saying I was faster than this guy, some of the skill position guys on the team. So it was fun.
Yeah, that was an awesome experience to see you kind of run him down. Obviously, you guys are 6-0. You're 3-0 in the league. This program has really risen to heights that we've never seen before. So from the time that you started to the time now where we sit, what are some of the takeaways, and how did this turn around for the 2022 season?
Coach Sparky's always emphasized, culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing for him, where he's been in his past and his coaching experiences and stuff like that. He's always emphasized culture. I feel like this team has really come together, not just with the wins or anything like that, but, just off the field and everything like that. I feel like it's a closer unit. And I feel like Coach Sparky has built that culture. We returned a lot of starters on defense. So it's not like it's all first-year guys or anything like that. Sure. A lot of these guys have been here since 2018 with me. So.
Yeah. Plans after graduation, you talked about your MBA, and you're working on that currently. How much longer do you have until you get that, and what do you want to use that for?
I'm hoping to get it by next summer, and I don't have it completely figured out yet, so
and that's okay.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, Brendan, thanks for joining us here this evening, and we'll take a quick pause, and then we'll have Preston Smith here on the show, so we'll be back in a minute. Now we're being joined by Preston Smith. Preston, a sophomore from Sterling Heights, Michigan, and a grad of Henry Ford II High School there in the Sterling Heights area. And, Preston, for you, good to meet you. I'm glad to meet you face-to-face here for the first time, and we're glad to have you. A transfer from NCAA Division III, Adrian College. I have a little bit in common. I actually worked at Adrian before.
Really?
I came here, so we have a little bond there as we discussed your transfer from Adrian to here. What was that process like for you, and how did coaches reach out to you once you decided, hey, I was going to be done with being at Adrian?
So I train at Rising Stars, and a lot of coaches come down and just watch us train, and they recruit mostly high school kids, and a few guys that graduate and go to college come back once the season is over. And I was seen by Davenport while I was there, and I was free.
Okay.
So they were interested, and a few other coaches were interested too, and I ultimately chose Davenport.
Sure. I mean, you led that team last year with 42 catches for 656 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And then there's a process, of course, of going to Division II football from Division III. What do you think are some of the biggest differences between those two levels? For those people that said, oh my, someone from a Division III school really has to kind of step up and come to this level, but your numbers are just about the same, if not better here.
Yeah, I think size difference is a major factor. Getting hit and taking hits from, and getting tackled there is completely different from getting hit here.
Okay.
I feel it for days after games and practice here, and just the competition level and work ethic is on a way higher standard here.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm pushed more to be better and just a better athlete overall here.
Sure. You know, you're part of the renaissance here on offense. You know, take a look at last year. You weren't with the program. We only averaged 9.5 points per game. This year, 38 points per game. It's the biggest turnaround in Division II. What do you think has been the biggest factor in this breakout?
So from what I've heard last year compared to this year is the team is gelling really, really well.
Okay.
So Jason and Johnny coming in and being factors at quarterback, and all of our receivers and the O-line just all able to just be together, be with each other, push each other, and just be there for each other once someone goes down, and we're just here every day.
You know, you've had 34 catches for 495 yards, 6 touchdowns this year. You've had 3 100-yard receiving games this year. Michigan Tech, you had 143 in that one. Wayne State last week 112, and then Truman in the season opener 105. Last week for you, you caught 3 touchdown passes against Wayne State. Scored actually the first 3 touchdowns of the game for DU, all coming in the first half, and that tied a school record set by your teammate Roy Livingstone earlier in the year. Is that part of the game plan coming into the game, or is that one of those things where Jason kind of maybe checks with you or checks with the coaching staff and you ride the hot hand? Like, how does that kind of work for those of us that maybe don't see the ins and the outs of the offensive plan?
Honestly, I feel like every receiver that we have has the ability to be dangerous. So I think that's our upper hand on every other team right now, that Jason can trust in each receiver that we have out there. Even the receivers that aren't starting can come in and just dominate. So, I mean, Jason trusted me with a few passes, and I just made plays, and that was all.
You really have that unique ability to go up and get the ball. I noticed a lot of one-on-one routes on the outside to you. So what do you practice, and how do you practice, like, timing the ball and getting it at its peak and kind of fighting off that defensive back? You know, what are those things like in practice that kind of sharpens you for the game?
Mainly concentration, especially when it's you and another guy up in the air fighting for one goal. Basically, is you have to want it more and concentrate. So most of the time I black out and just focus on the ball. I forget about the next man on the side of me and just go get it.
Sure. Right now tied for second in the league in receptions, third in the GLIAC in receiving yards per game at 82.5, and then tied for third also in receiving TDs. So obviously you've built a pretty good resume so far this year, and you're looking forward now to Lincoln. It's a team that I don't think you guys have a whole lot of information on. I mean, they're in Division II school, but they've played all over the country. I mean, they've played every one of their games are going to be on the road. So they played in New York last week. They're playing in Michigan. They played Grand Valley earlier this year. They played Portland State, which is an FCS school. So what's the preparation been like to face the Oaklanders here on Saturday?
It's slightly challenging just because we don't have as much information, but we do know that they are a talented team. We won't overlook them.
Sure.
So we're going in like it's any other team that's great, and we're going to ball.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Preston, for joining us here today. And we'll take a quick pause, and then we'll be joined by Justin Vasquez, head men's and women's swimming and diving coach. We're back for the last half of our segments here on the Uccello's Coaches Show, Davenport University here in Caledonia. Ryan Thompson now, joined by Justin Vasquez. And Justin, for you, the head men's and women's swimming and diving coach here at Davenport. And as I was looking through some of your bio, 6th season here already at Davenport. It's funny, we both kind of started at the same time. Can you believe it's been 6 years already?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it went by fast.
It does.
The first year I was able to, just do recruiting. And then, we're already here. We had our first graduating class last year. And, and then we added the men's team a couple years earlier than what we were planning. And so, year 5 for the women, year 3 for the men. And it's going by fast.
What's it like to have that first graduating class? I mean, you see these young people become adults, right? And you see them then move on into the real world. And so what's that like to see them grow over a 4-year period?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the kids change so much from the time, they're a freshman until, they're becoming adults as far as, finishing up their career as swimmers or divers. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty special. We actually have one as a grad assistant this year. We had one of the girls actually decide to stay here for her 5th year, but they're still around and supporting us, and it's pretty cool to have the first group graduate.
Absolutely. So for you, for those of you not familiar with Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and really how did swimming come into your life, and obviously going from maybe just a passion into a career?
Yeah. So grew up in West Michigan area, Wyoming, lived there our whole life, and actually my wife and I just moved ourselves out of Wyoming and into Jenison now, so a little bit different. Our kids go to El Puente and Jenison, and so we've loved it out there. But I got into swimming at a young age, and I did swimming, wrestling, baseball, and football, and decided to do swimming at Grand Valley. And year 2 there, I started off as a criminal justice major, and found out as a sophomore I really wanted to be a college swim coach, and so from there, just kind of started preparing myself to, learn more about swimming. I just found myself enjoying watching my teammates do some special things in the water, more so than even, myself competing. And so I knew I wanted to be a coach and help people. I like that. And so worked there my 5th year. Then I went on to be an assistant coach at Calvin College for 3 years, and then was able to go back to Grand Valley for 5 years as the associate head coach. And then Rhonda was able to get me to come here. I really wanted to come here, and so it's been fun ever since.
Tell the folks at home, what's the process like of going from a GVSU, where it's been an established program, and you're coming in, you don't have a pool necessarily on campus, you guys compete at the Kentwood Aquatic Center, but taking a program from the ground level up, and what are the challenges and what are some of the things that's rewarding about that?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool just to start from nothing, but it definitely is challenging. Going from a program that is, like you said, established. We started off with 7 swimmers our first year and 2 divers, so 9 athletes, and they're all freshmen as well. And now we're at, almost 50 athletes with the combined team. And really, our talent is there. Mm-hmm. It's really just kind of about teaching, how to be an elite program, what it takes day in, day out, practice-wise. We were just talking about this morning, what kind of effort and commitment is required to be, a top 25 team in the country, a team that can be competitive in the conference. And so it's fun building that. It's fun seeing the people accept the challenge, and it's been good.
You guys have already had a couple meets under your belt this season. You guys were at Bethel and also have competed against Indiana Wesleyan and Hillsdale most recently. What signs early are you seeing that this is a team that can be competitive and is buying into that culture that you speak of?
Yeah, I printed off, a week ago, I printed off our results from our first 2 meets last year and compared them to the people that we, returned with the results that we've had this year already, and we're ahead of where we were last year. I think definitely the team is learning how to be competitive. This year, the very first meet, Richie, our team captain on the men's side, posts a school record, and then also I think it's the number 2 time in the country right now for his 100 breaststroke, and the number 1 time or number 2 time in the 200 breaststroke in the country. And so to be able to do things like that right away, and a lot of other people are having some really good swims too. We're definitely getting there as far as being a competitive team.
Earlier you talked about recruiting in terms of building depth for your squad. You want to compete and peak at that GLIAC championships. So what does it take to build depth at each event?
Yeah, I just working hard recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that we have to contact to get the responses and then get them on campus. And I found once we get them on campus and once they meet the team, we have a really good shot of getting people to commit to Davenport. And that's the key is, creating that depth is getting those numbers, getting that roster 20, 26 or so, and then, allowing us to have 3, 4, 5 people deep in each event.
Awesome. You take a look at some of the people that have really influenced you maybe as a person, as a coach. Who are some of the mentors that you've had growing up through the coaching ranks, and who do you lean on for advice?
Yeah, for sure. Probably one of my biggest, the biggest mentor I had actually coached with me, with us here, Don Kimball, and he passed away toward the end of our first season here, and so I learned a lot from him. We've had people come in to the program that also had him as a coach, and so there's a lot learned through him, but also when I worked at Calvin College, I really respected Dan over there, Dan Gelderloos, and have learned a lot from him. So I'd say probably those two are the main coaches that I've kind of learned from as far as what I want to do as a coach.
Yeah. You guys are back in the pool this weekend at Calvin. It's the mental health awareness meet. So is that a topic? I know that's something that collegiate students right now are really kind of bringing to the forefront, and I think our society is as well. So how do you approach that with your student athletes? And then what do you have planned, or does Calvin have planned really kind of in store for that meet?
Yeah, so it's actually how that meet kind of came about. A swimmer that was at the University of Michigan, a local West Michigan kid, Ian Miskelly, had passed away while he was at Michigan, and it was something that Mike Bottom from Michigan wanted to come over here and kind of make a meet and have an awareness and bring some attention for the Miskellys as well, and so Mike Bottom and Dan at Calvin are good friends. And with Miskelly being from Holland, we have athletes from there. Hope College has athletes from there. Calvin has athletes from there, people that knew him. And so that's kind of how it ended up at Calvin with all of us, our teams together.
Well, it's a great cause, and I wish you guys the best of luck this weekend as you compete in that meet and everything else as you got going on into the winter and then through the spring. So thanks for joining us here today. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, we have one more guest for you, so stay tuned. We're going to bring in Zelly Henderson of the football team, and he'll be up with us very shortly, and then we'll conclude our Uccello's Coaches Show. Back here on the Uccello's Coaches Show, and joined now by Zelly Henderson, a redshirt junior from Los Angeles, California, Grover Cleveland High School grad. And, Zelly, for you, a transfer from the College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita, California. You were there from 2018 to 2020. So how nice is the weather out here right now? I mean, it's 36 and blowing like crazy. I mean, this isn't LA anymore, is it?
Not at all. Yeah, I actually stepped out to come over here, and I'm like, dang, dude, I might need to have to go in there and get another jacket. But it's getting better. I feel like Coach Sparks said I needed to thicken my blood. I feel like it's working a little bit, but it still takes some getting used to, I'm gonna have to say. So
other than that, I mean, what has the transition been like from you from the West Coast now out here to Michigan, and how have you adjusted to life out here?
It actually settled in pretty nicely, just other than the weather was something to get used to. But luckily I did come January, which was cold then, so I kind of got a feel of it. But I actually moved around my whole life a lot, so it's actually easy for me to settle in places and make friends and get to know people. I'm very talkative too, so it's actually it was a lot easier for me, I feel like, to settle in because I know how to really, like, connect with people in a sense, and I was a communications major too, so that helps. But the state of Michigan is really nice, I would say. It's different. It's a lot less crowded, and, you know, I don't have to deal with the traffic like that anymore, so that's a blessing. And, you know, I just love to explore, so I like experiencing new things. So
that's great. Just from some of the accolades, you know, 2018 you were second-team kick returner. 2019 All-American honors there at College of the Canyons, first-team offense at wide receiver, and you guys were part of some championship teams too. So, you know, what was that experience like in bringing some of that winning mentality to Davenport?
That experience was very overwhelming. Not overwhelming, but, you know, when you don't expect to do as good as you did in a season. So College of Canyons being already a well-known program and coming in not even on the radar and having to prove yourself. So I've been in that position before. So, you know, going into that winning season with the 10-0 season with those guys, you know, it just showed a lot that what takes to win. And it's really a brotherhood that you build that bond on and off the field, but mainly on the field when you put in that work and you know that the guy next to you is going 100% while you're going 100%. And that's how you know when you have a team that's, you know, prepared to win games, because, you know, you guys are going to go out there and battle for each other. It's a real war. And, you know, no soldier left behind is how we went about it. So, I mean, that was a lot to, like, help me bring that over here and just know the mentality we need to even just contribute to the win. Or just, you know, we out there just trying to make Jason look good and make the team look good. That's all we want to do. We're not really trying to do nothing selfishly, but, you know, that's what it's about, putting your brother first and making sure that you do right by them and give your all every time you touch that grass or turf, I should say.
A little bit of both, depends on where we're at. You kind of mentioned in your bio that you had an uncle, Lattenberry, that played in the NFL for a little bit. Did you have a relationship with him growing up? And if you did, you know, what was that like in learning from somebody that made it to the highest level?
Well, I didn't really know him as much as I could have, but it's actually my mom's older. I don't think he's the oldest, but she didn't really meet him until she was 18. So he came into her life late, but when he came in, he was already in the league and stuff. So he would always bless her every now and then, you know, just to look out. But, you know, they built that relationship over time. So once they built that relationship and I came into play and I started playing football, then she finally introduced me to him, and, like, when I was able to communicate with him. So, you know, he helped me out a lot, you know, just letting me know what it takes to be great and just how you can make it to the next level, just letting me know what it takes to just put in the work and put your all into the sport and don't hold nothing back. He would always tell me, like, if you want something and you really desire it, then you're gonna do everything in your power to get it. So that's how you got to look at football. Like, if you really love this sport, you got to put your all into it if you really want to gain anything back. So
you talk about the next man up mentality, and so deep at wide receiver this year, and you really had the signature moment, I think, so far in this season. Last week, you caught your first touchdown as a Panther, and what a time to do that with 13 yards from Jason Whitaker, 9 seconds left to beat Wayne State. So what was that moment like for you? And throughout the play call in the huddle, did you know it was coming to you, or was that something that maybe Jason saw at the line of scrimmage and decided maybe to do a little check down and find you in the end zone? But it was a great play. You were wide open.
Very great play, honestly. It was really a play call. Luckily, Coach Russell actually told me that it was our receiver coach upstairs that called the play. And, you know, with that amount of time left, and I'm already knowing, like, okay, I'm already stepping up right now because, you know, size out, so I'm already getting more playing time than I usually do, which is not a problem, but I already knew I was stepping up, and I knew the game was going, like, I wasn't doing the most. I mean, I had that kickoff return out the gate that kind of gave us some good field position, but, you know, I was still, like, in my head, like, dang, I wish I could contribute more and more, but when they caught that play, it was really like a sign, like, Zelly, like, they're putting this in your hands right now. Like, we practiced that play a lot. I'm a firm believer of practice makes permanent, so when they called that play, I'm like, okay, this is literally practice right now. Like, whenever they call that play, they make me get in, like, Zelly, you go run this, okay? So when they call, I'm like, this is practice. This guy, the safety's right here. This is basically one-on-one drill, and it's me and him, and I got to beat him out. And I always think I'm going to win against anybody. So it was just in my head like, Zelly, you got to run the best route, and you cannot drop the ball. But the dropping the ball part wasn't the fear. But, yeah, definitely when they caught that play, that was all that was running through my head. Like, I got to run the best route possible to get in this end zone so that we can win this game. But
right, and you're flanked out to the left with Preston. He already had 3 touchdowns. If I'm guessing, Wayne State's thinking maybe the ball's going here. But and looking at that route, it looked like he kind of almost ran a post. Or you gave a little shoulder, like you were going to the pylon, and then you turned inside on more of a slant, and that's what kind of allowed you to have that separation.
Yeah, I gave him that corner post, which is something that I did run a lot at College of the Canyons. It was something called #8. So that was when I went there. I was the only person they would let run that play. So I actually feel like I mastered that route. So when they caught it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is me right here. I just gotta beat this man out, and we can go home with this. So it was just a blessing. And I always say before the games when I pray, like, God put us in the position to make the plays, and it's up to us to make them. So, and it's I just hope I have the positivity and the right mindset at the time to make the play. So, and I did, and I just thank God for it. You know, I'm just glad that we were able to bang out for the win and get that 6-0 record, and now we're ranked 22 for the first time. And I'm like, this is just it's all a blessing happening right now, and I just can't be more thankful and happy that I'm even in this position to contribute to the team as much as I did that game. So.
Well, that's, I think, the beauty of this team. I mean, you guys have guys that can step up in those moments. You said Cy unable to go last week, but here you are. You come in. You have 9 catches for 109 yards for the year, but you've seen your production increase as of late. You feeling a little more comfortable in the offense now as things get going, and now you're more than halfway through this year?
No, yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable. You know, I took 2 years off, technically, from school and football, I would say, so it was like, I had to knock off the rust, which Coach Sparky always tells me, like, he's knocking his rust off right now. So I had to knock off that rust. You know, it took a few games for me to get it back in motion and, regroup to the game speed. But, you know, it didn't take too long. And, you know, I played football my whole life, so it's not really hard to adjust. But I really love this offense. I really love Coach Russell. I love Coach Spark, you know, and the new receiver coach. He's great. And, you know, it's just a lot of magic happening over here. And it's just great to be a part of. And you know that Coach Russ loves to air the ball out. Like, if you hear our meetings, he's a character. I love Coach Russ. And, you know, he already had high hopes of the offense, passing wise, but all together though. So, you know, it's just good to be in a fit where, like, they like the speedsters. We got our big guys. They utilize everybody, and that's just a good place that you want, because it's not like they got a man that they're going to hit every play. So it's just a great experience, and I'm just happy to be back in college and back in the sport and just back feeling like me again.
So something you love to do, absolutely. You're also on kick return coverage, or actually kick returns, 5 of them this year for you. So, you know, what's that adrenaline like being on a kickoff return? I know that's a thing in special teams that Coach will preach, Coach Spark will talk about all the time, is how that can change a game. So what's that experience like, returning one down the field for those of us that know that it's a car crash waiting to happen, really?
You know, playing football, like, it's like Smear the Queer kind of as a kid when you used to just throw the ball up and everybody try to tackle you. So I look at it like that, like it's just me back again in the backyard, and there's just a lot of guys trying to tackle me and just see who has the best moves and say. But it's all about speed. And my coach told me after the Northern Michigan game, right before this, during the game, he was like, make your moves full speed, like during practice this week. He's like, make your moves full speed, be able to read while moving fast. So I really tried to utilize that this game. Like, okay, as I'm moving, look for the hole. So it's a fun in it, because it's really you and your team just, you know, blocking, and it's like it's the best man win. And if there's a hole, hit it. And if you hit it, now it's up to you to really get there. So it's like we haven't got in there yet, and Coach Walk's itching for one, and I keep telling him, like, I'm gonna get you one, Coach. Like, I promise you, I'm gonna get you one. And I see each game I'm getting closer and closer. So I'm like, it's gonna come, but you know, it's inevitable, and you know, just got to be prepared for the moment, because you never know what's gonna happen. And it could take one block. It's just one block that you need to make that touchdown. Like, it could have happened Saturday. It just, you know, it's
rare.
It's rare. Right? It's rare. Like, it's really a rare sight to see a kick return. So I'm just waiting for that moment to happen. But it's fun, and I really enjoy it. I really like making moves. I love making people miss. So it's something I love to do. So.
Playing Lincoln this upcoming Saturday at 12 o'clock, coming out to the farm and watch these guys compete. It's a great show. They're from Oakland, California. Anybody on that team, with you being from LA, that you know that would place for that Lincoln squad?
I haven't looked at the team yet, but we just got the scouting report today, actually, and I was looking on the scouting report to see if I seen anybody, but I'm gonna have to go to the actual roster and see. But no, so far I haven't seen anybody that I know, but I know how Oakland is, and I know my dad's actually from Oakland. My grandma still stays out there too, so I've been there a few times, but I just know they have some talent. I've seen it, and I know how kids are from Oakland, California. I know they're going to come, prepared to fight, prepared to really, give us a run for our money. But, I mean, I feel like anybody that we step against, we just have to know that, we're a great football team too. And as long as we keep that mindset, we should just be prepared for anything. But I know they're out here. They're going to try to come and, break our streak.
Sure.
And I know they haven't had the best season so far, so that I know they're itching for a win too. So, I mean, it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, they're coming off a win, though. So, I mean, they have a little bit of momentum coming in here. So I'm sure they're going to be hungry. I know you guys are too. So.
We know they're going to be hungry. That's why we just got to know that it's just going to be a dogfight, and, we just got to be the better team again. So it's just nothing we ain't going to prepare for. So. Sure.
Zelly, thanks for joining us here on the Coach Show. We really appreciate it. Good luck with you guys on Saturday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, come on out to the farm. Like I said, this Saturday at 12 noon, Lincoln and Davenport will square off. 6-0 Davenport against 1-5 Lincoln. Get your tickets. DUPanthers.com. Come on out. I think it's supposed to be in the 60s, so we can't beat that for a late October contest. It's also Staff Appreciation Day, so some of the professors and faculty members here at Davenport have a chance to come out and be recognized. So, Brian Thompson, you've been listening to the Uccello's Coaches Show, and we'll see you next week.